Hey everybody, this is Brent back with another edition of Near Mint Musings. And tonight I am going to recap, showcase, reflect on the project that was 2020. That's right, TOPPS Project 2020. The elephant in the room, the polarizing project, that's not real cards to that is art, appreciate it for what it is. Opinions all over the board, and that's okay. And I thought I'd throw mine out at you as well. So now that it's all done and I received my final card to complete a run, and I'll get to that in a second, I thought I should share some brief thoughts and reflect on Project 2020. I liked it. I think it stirred a lot of interest in baseball cards. Some would say that wasn't really necessary. We already have enough interest. But any kind of expansion on what we love and what we collect, I think is a good thing. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Now, that's easily said. But sometimes the residual, even though you are not partaking or enjoying the Project 2020, sometimes the residual can affect other parts of the hobby, and that can lead to resentment, and I get that. There was a lot of funky prices going on, up, down, all around with Project 2020, and whether that affected the rest of the hobby, I don't really know. I liked it. I viewed it as art. There were some cards that were really ugly, in my opinion, and some that were drop dead gorgeous, in my opinion. I think the price influx and just explosion that capped off with the Keith Shore Griffey was ridiculous. That was a bubble that most of us knew was going to burst and burst quickly. That being said, I took advantage of it, as I know many of you did as well. I also got burned by it, as many of you did as well. Some are bitter because of that. Some are better because of that. I like to think of myself as both. I benefited from selling during that crazy spike and got myself a bucket list card that I never would have even dreamed of getting. I know others like, Bob Lewis will tell his story of how he got his Roberto Clemente rookie from selling one Mark McGwire card from Project 2020. I sold what did I sell? An Ichiro, and what else did I sell? Or was it two Ichiros? I can't remember now. I'd have to think about it. But anyways, it got me a little paper, which allowed me to get a card that I will be showcasing soon, very soon, in an upcoming video. Anyways, price hikes aside and bubble bursting aside, I thought Project 2020 was a lot of fun. I bought a couple just of random ones that I thought were beautiful. If you look at my video that I did actually just yesterday for John Mangini, I showed the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Clementes that I got. I thought of the 20 that were done. Those were my favorite ones, so I got those. Most of those aftermarket on eBay for cheap. And then I picked up a few along the way. I'm going to show this to you now. First, a couple of Jackie Robinsons that I just loved. And I have a couple of vintage Playing Days Jackie Robinsons on display. And I put these next to them. I think they complement them well. I love this one. This is just obviously from his first Topps card. This is done by Joshua Vides. I'm not sure how to say the last name. Just love the simplicity of it, and his aesthetic was really cool with his card. So I got that one. And then the last card that I got was this was Ben Baller, who was, one of the more vocal and engaged artists with the whole project. A lot of these artists were engaged on social media, which is a great thing. Even the artists that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, I actually got to talk with, messaged on social media. A lot of them are very vocal, and Ben Baller was one that kind of really was polarizing. Either you loved him or you hated him. He didn't lack bravado, nor did he lack confidence, and he was very opinionated. You had other ones like Blake Jameson that was very vocal and Blake Jameson was kind of the artist that united a lot of them together. He actually had a show on YouTube that he interviewed other artists and wanted to hear about their journey and story and aesthetic and stuff, and I really liked that. So anyways, Ben Baller did this card. Ben Baller did the card. This is his Jackie Robinson. This was his last card, and geez, it's just gorgeous in its simplicity and just well done. Well done. Love it. Picked up a couple Mariners. Only one Griffey, which kind of surprised me. I thought I would have picked up more, but I only picked up one. But the one that I picked up was by Old Man Allen. And this is a fantastic late 80s, early 90s vibe card. And Old Man Allen got a lot of... he was another polarizing artist because most of the artists embraced the original rookie card or the aesthetic of the one card. He was the guy that kind of went off on his own and just kind of made his own cards. This has nothing to do with the 89 Griffey, but the pose, the cap with the rare cap, not backwards, with the tag still on it, doing the B-boy pose, dude, with the old M's logo, heck yeah. A couple of Ichiros that I got. This was the only card I have by Grotesque, but just loved the vibe of that. Grotesque always had like those two statues holding pictures up or incorporated in some way with all of his, I'm assuming, it's a he, his cards. So I thought that was really cool. And then this card by Old Man Allen again. I guess I liked his vibe. Ichiro, but oh my gosh, look at that. Just the ancient Japanese vibe to it. Just good grief. This may be my favorite card done by any artist, but that's debatable, but just good stuff. And then the last card I'm going to show you before I talk about my artist showcase is probably, I know I just said that Ichiro is my favorite, but I think this might be my favorite. And this is signed by the artist. And some of you will know this artist. And if you know him, you adore him, you appreciate him. That's JT, Triple Crown 24. Get Miggy with it. And this is card number 43 for Near Mint Musings. That's right. I got a custom personalized card from a man, JT. And there it is. Look at that. How fun is that? I know other YouTube content creators have done the same, and I've got these cards, and I know I had to do it as well. And he, like everybody else, is knocked out of the park. It's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So thank you, JT. Appreciate you, brother. Love this card. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around in a second, but I did something that I haven't seen others. I've seen a few. I think Blue Jacket 66 did his George Brett's run. I have a buddy that's did a Griffey run and some other videos. I think I saw a couple that did a player run, a Trout run. I don't know how many have done an artist run. I'm sure people have. I haven't seen any videos for it, but that's what I chose to do. And the artist that I chose was Matt Taylor. And that was when the first card came out, number 21. His first card was number 21. I'm like, dude, I love his aesthetic. I want to see where this goes. And I kept buying them and following them. And you get to a certain point where, like, even if I don't like them, I got to commit to this. But I really like his aesthetic. He's done artwork for Marvel, for some video games, I think, like Mass Effect. He recently did a 10th anniversary vinyl version of the Tron Legacy soundtrack, which I have, and I will show in another video for something that's completely non-related. and just love his aesthetic. He's a British artist, and he wasn't really a baseball fan. He's become a baseball fan, but it was kind of interesting to see his take. And I'm going to turn the camera around, and we're going to look at all of his cards, and I'm probably going to pick out maybe 3 to 5 of my favorite cards, and let's do that. All right, I'm going to turn the camera around. All right, so here we are, and I apologize for any glare. I tried to reduce it as much as possible, but this is Matt Taylor's first card, Rickey Henderson. And I saw this card, and I just fell in love with the aesthetic. The pure early 80s vibe of it, the multiple shadows, the 80s kind of, not monochromatic, but just kind of that early 80s vibe to me, like that early computer, almost original Tron look to it. And yeah, so went with it. And then he went, and next one was Derek Jeter. It's kind of got that noir, kind of early 1920s look to it with the same color aesthetic, but just kind of a cool background, taking in making the infield look kind of noir. I loved it. Next was the Griffey, and I really like this too. It's interesting. I don't know exactly what all of his inspiration was, but you'll see a theme here in a minute, and I'll see if you can pick up on it, but I won't let it go too far without mentioning it, because I don't want you to miss what I think kind of his goal was with his videos, his cards. Frank Thomas was his next one. You still can kind of see the same type of color scheme is pretty consistent so far. There's his Frank Thomas. Not a whole lot going on there besides just the color. And then there's the Roberto Clemente. Turn that one. Really like this one, unique with the wave. Gonna assume it's just, maybe pirate themed. Don't know exactly, but love it nonetheless. And then we come down here, and then you kind of start to change things up. We have his Tony Gwynn, and I just love this. This is almost like peace, love, and happiness version, like if the Partridge Family had a card. It's groovy, right? So love that. Next was his Cal Ripken, and this was just gorgeous, very intricate with the bird wings. I'm assuming the Oriole wings. Looking at the flowers right there, maybe that's the state flower of Maryland. I don't know, but just really unique. And he said in a video this was by far his hardest and longest one to draw, and you can probably see why. Next up is the George Brett's, and I don't know, maybe Blue Jacket 66 could let me know what's the horse theme. I don't know. Is that a Kansas City thing? Is that a George Brett? I know he's born in West Virginia, lived in SoCal, but I don't understand the horse behind it. I know in 1985 he rode a horse for the World Series parade. Maybe that's why it's on there. I don't know. But anyways, George Brett. One of my favorites, cat out of the bag, is this Jackie. And this is like, what? The Rat Pack just did a card. This is late 50s, early 60s, kind of, Vegas, baby, kind of, mid-century modern vibe, and completely love that. With kind of like the marquee font at the bottom, like it's going to be like a casino, or even like a game show. Here's his Ichiro, and what a fantastic card this is. And he said in a interview with Blake Jameson that this was one of his favorites, and he was the most nervous about, because he didn't know how it was going to be handled. I like this, and I'm going to assume he did his research and created a kind of a blue wave. The Oryx Blue Wave was his Japanese team before he joined the Mariners. So just kind of like that, almost like Godzilla seacoast crashing looking vibe to the back of it as well. Love it. Next we have just the epitome of early 90s, Mariano Rivera. The card in and of itself is just, the original card is funny, but then you got this, he embraces, this is completely, 90210. So great Mariano Rivera. Nolan Ryan, late 60s, kind of like that almost, Jimi Hendrix fonts, from an album. Very psychedelic looking, great looking, clean card. Here we got the 1984 Don Mattingly. And, you've seen that he's taken some liberties from the original card. I mean, you've got the pose of the Mattingly behind him, that would emulate the 1984 Topps card. And you got the Yankees going from top to bottom. That's, you know, the 84 card. But what a fantastic looking 80s 1984 vibe. Next we have Mark McGwire, and I think he was going for the Lonely Planet. Lonely Planet is that Lonely Island. Lonely Planet is a freaking travel book. Lonely Island, and I'm Mark McGwire, the Bash Brothers. I'm, you know, got the arms crossed in the back, so I like that vibe. That's a good vibe. Next we have Ted Williams, and this capitalizes on his Navy and Marine pilot days. I even love the little icon up at the top. That is actually his, I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, the Tomcat. I think it was the Tomcat group that he flew with, was the name of his air wing for the Korean War. He flew in World War II and the Korean War, and Navy for World War II, Marines for Korean, and I believe that's his air wing insignia for the Tomcat. So, big fan of that. Big aviation theme. Love it. Next we have Mr. Bob Gibson, rest in peace. Just love the, almost like doves, but they're cardinals flying. And he actually made this card right around his passing, I think right after it. So I don't know if this was purposeful, but just a gorgeous, clean card of Mr. Gibson. Next we have Sandy Koufax. This kind of harkens back to the Derek Jeter, kind of the noir kind of vibe to it. And the theme I was mentioned earlier is a lot of his cards, he really went with the theme of when they played, the aesthetic of that decade or even that year. So like, you know, you talk about the Nolan Ryan, you talk about the Mariano Rivera, the Don Mattingly. They're very cognizant, he's very cognizant of the vibe and style of that year. Next we have Mike Trout. This is a clean card of him just looking angelic. Next we have the Willie Mays, and he even said he was inspired by Blake Jameson, who suggested that he kind of emulate his Jackie Robinson vibe to go with the Willie Mays. So it's kind of like the companion piece. Same era, that 50s, early 60s, mid-century Vegas style. And then this last card that he did is very clean, simple, but very 1985, is his Dwight Gooden. So there you have the Matt Taylor run, artist run. I would have to say if I had to pick my top 3 favorite cards that he did, I'd start off with the one that started it all, and that would be the Rickey Henderson. That's just a gorgeous, gorgeous card. And then I probably would have to say the Jackie Robinson. I'm gonna pick 4, by the way. Jackie Robinson, for all the reasons I said earlier, just love that mid-century vibe. The Ichiro right next to it, I think he completely nailed it, and I think that's just a gorgeous color scheme to go with a fantastic looking shot with that wave. Okay. And then lastly, kind of have to go with the Mattingly, just because this is very much my aesthetic. Kind of like that synthwave, 84, Miami Vice, early computer generated vibe, right? So very, very much in my wheelhouse when it comes to that aesthetic. So that would be my other favorite. So I think those are my 4 favorites. If I had to pick my least favorite, probably would have to be the Frank Thomas, just because it's just meh to me. If I had to pick another one that I disliked, probably, I don't know, maybe the Dwight Gooden, just because it's so simple. I don't hate it, but there's just not a whole lot to it. So anyways, those are my top 4, and this is my Matt Taylor Project 2020 run. So hopefully you've enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite one is, and I'll be curious to see what you guys think. All right, appreciate you guys all. Have a good one.